Russia has announced ambitious plans to develop the MiG-31, a sixth-generation starfighter capable of extreme speed, EMP attacks, and laser weaponry. Sixth-generation interceptor and fighter intended to replace the MiG-31 Foxhound. With a targeted first flight in 2025, the MiG-41 is designed to reach near space altitudes and exceed Mach 4. However, while impressive on paper, these aspirations are widely seen as unrealistic given Russia's current military priorities in Ukraine and technological limitations, particularly in directed energy weapons. Some argue Russia should focus its resources on achievable projects like the Tupolev PAK-DA stealth bomber, rather than the speculative MiG-41. As is typically the case with Russian aviation projects, the West knows little about the MiG-41. Russia wants the world to know that it is unaffected by the Western proxy war being waged between itself and the NATO alliance over control of Ukraine. Recently, Moscow let the world know that it was moving ahead with the construction of its long-range strategic stealth bomber, the Tupolev PAK-DA. Russian forces already possess the world's most advanced working hypersonic weapons arsenals. While Russia may be finally and timidly using its Su-57 fifth-generation fighter jets in Ukraine, the United States Air Force is well on its way to developing a sixth-generation fighter jet. Not to be outdone, Russia has announced it too, is developing a sixth-generation fighter jet called the PAK-DP or Mikoyan MiG-41, although it currently lacks an official name. However, the MiG-41 tends to set the comments section of the internet aflame, with some claiming it will be the first and best sixth-generation fighter, while others see it as little more than a Russian propaganda flight of fancy. PAK-DP is the short form of Prospective Air Complex for long-range interception. Russian reports claim it is a project to develop the next generation of stealth interceptor aircraft and heavy fighters. However, it is difficult to find good information about the Russian PAK-DP program. The new jet will purportedly be outfitted with either a ramjet or turbo-ramjet engine that would push the airframe to speeds of Mach 4.3 or even Mach 5. If these numbers are accurate, Russia's new fighter would become the fastest military aircraft on the globe. Moscow has also claimed that this sixth-generation fighter would sport anti-satellite missiles that would allow it to function in near-space environments. It should also be noted that Russia is currently bogged down in an intensive war with Ukraine, and this has forced Russia to mobilize its economy onto a war footing. It is plausible that Russia would prioritize developing weapon systems relevant to fighting the current war rather than extremely expensive futuristic programs like the MiG-41 to fight some far-distant war. After all, it has been over 2 years of war, and the Russian Air Force has still completely failed to establish air superiority over Ukraine beyond the front line. Russian tactical thinking has moved beyond simply building more kinetic warplanes. The theorized sixth-generation warplane, which is pure fantasy at this point, is meant to outfly its rivals. The weapons that are being developed for this experimental plane are non-kinetic. They're meant to attack the sophisticated electronic operating systems of enemy warplanes. If America and other countries announce they will build a sixth-gen fighter jet, it comes as little surprise Russia claims it can build one sooner, faster, and better. Almost in response to criticism over Russia's Su-57, the state-run newspaper, TASS, reported in 2017 that Russia may upgrade the Su-57 to a sixth-gen fighter. The Su-57 is Russia's most modern aircraft, claimed to be a fifth-gen fighter. However, some observers say it has more in common with a 4.5-gen fighter. In April 2024, the National Interest reported Russian defense analyst Vasily Kashin at Moscow's Higher School of Economics, HSE, as saying, "There are some discussions and initial research about development of a MiG-31 successor, but it is at the very early stages." He also said, "As I understand, the MiG-41 is a kind of a futuristic project which is still on the stage of conceptual design." Echoing the criticism of the dramatically hyped Su-74 checkmate, an unnamed defense industry source quoted by the National Interest suggested the seemingly laughable bragging is a ploy to get funding for the concept. Perhaps the sixth-generation fighter jet most advanced in its development cycle is the U.S. Air Force NGAD, planned to be in service by 2030. Next could be the Tempest, or Global Combat Air System, being jointly produced by the British, Italians, and Japanese, and the USA Navy's F/A-XX program. China is known to be working on a sixth-generation fighter, but little is known. The French and Germans are also working to produce a sixth-generation fighter, but disagreements between the countries are delaying the program. But the descriptions of the MiG-31 do not sound like a new, more advanced warplane for the Russian arsenal. They look and read like a starfighter right out of Star Wars. In other words, the Russians need to focus on the practical and leave building the Wunderwaffe to the Americans, who are proving with each decade since the end of the Cold War that such fantastical systems are rarely worth the money and time it took to build them. Where Russia is right to spend its limited resources is in developing the aforementioned Tupolev PAK-DA long-range strategic stealth bomber. That system will prove decisive over time for Russia, especially if the Ukraine war continues unabated for the next several years. But the MiG-41 is as ridiculous as it sounds. If you enjoy content like this, please go ahead and like and subscribe to this video because I appreciate all your support.